Please come to order for the October 19th Ascension Parish Council meeting. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Invocation to be led by Mr. Dawson.
Let's pray. Father, we give you praise and thanks for all the things you continue to do for us, for the protection that you provide for us, for the blessing that you store upon our families, our friends, our community. We thank you for the wisdom that you're giving us to lead the people of Ascension Parish, to do the things that are necessary to continue to make Ascension Parish the place that is desired to be and to live. We thank you, O God, that you continue to protect us through all the situations, through the past storms. We thank you, and we continue to ask your blessings to be upon us as we do the people's business. And we give you all the glory and praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Secretary, absent tonight is Councilman Cagnalotti, had a death in the family. Councilman Benny Johnson, who was called out to work. Did I miss? That's it. Chair's additions, just one comment, I guess, for the general public is that for the first time tonight we'll be voting on the voting machines that we've had installed here for a long time. Finally got those operational, so you'll be able to see the votes cast on your screens. Additionally, we have a couple of items to strike. We have item number 16, just one item. Item 16 to strike off the agenda. Okay, public comment period. If you'd like to comment on an item, please pick up one of the red or green cards at the podium. When you have that completed, turn that in to Secretary McKee here in front of me. Presentations for tonight. The first presentation that we have is for Shell Chemical, and so I would like for two representatives from Shell, Mr. Hardy and JJ, help me. Okay. So you got the substitute tonight to read the proclamation. Whereas Shell Chemical Gossamer has been in continuous operation in Ascension Parish since 1967, has never changed ownership, and has remained a safe and profitable Shell facility for its entire half-century of existence. And whereas Shell Chemical Gossamer is, and always has been, one of the largest employers and taxpayers in Ascension Parish, currently employing approximately 680 Shell employees and routinely employing 600 day-to-day contract maintenance employees. And whereas Shell Chemical Gossamer currently is undergoing a major expansion, a Tiger A04 project, which employs approximately 1,900 contract craftspeople on site during peak times, with the project due for completion in late 2018. Shell Chemical Gossamer makes critical components of a variety of household and commercial products people use every day. Whereas Shell Chemical Gossamer supports the Ascension Parish community through active participation in and financial contributions to a wide variety of civic and community initiatives and organizations, and whose employees regularly give of their personal time and resources to help make Ascension Parish a great place to live and work, and who is a strong supporter of Ascension Parish schools through charitable contributions, employee volunteerism, and through the tax revenues it generates. Now, therefore, on behalf of Kenny Matassa, Parish President of Ascension Parish, State of Louisiana, we do hereby proclaim October 19th, 2017 as Shell Chemical Gossamer Day in Ascension Parish. So I'd like to thank them for 50 years. Would each one of you guys like to comment?
I would like to thank you for giving us that proclamation on behalf of our General Manager, Roman Hardy, and our entire Shell Geismar team. We truly appreciate that honor. We also think it's a great privilege for us. We look back at the founders of our site and how much insight they had to build the original Geismar plant in 1967 in Ascension Parish. 50 years worth of history in the future ahead of us, we hope is just as bright. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Invite any council members who'd like to join us here. Councilman Turner, way. His district. Okay, now with Travis, y'all gonna have to get a little bit friendlier. All right. That looks great. Mine looks good. How about yours, Helen?
Mine too.
Excellent. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Okay, Mr. Dawson, we have a parish president report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, just I would like to introduce to the council Mr. William Daniel, who's now over our infrastructure division. He has been drinking from a fire hydrant over the last a few days and learning everything. And if it's okay, I would just like for him to just say a little bit about it, introduce himself to the council.
Well, thank you. It is good to be here. I've been in the city of Baton Rouge and serving the citizens of Baton Rouge for probably the last 20 years in different capacities. I was a state representative. I worked in the Department of Public Works. I was the chief operating officer for the mayor, and then I headed up the environmental services for our new mayor. But I can tell you that when I read about the opportunity to come to Ascension Parish, I was extraordinarily excited, and I think it's a great opportunity for me, and I think it's I'm looking forward to having a long service record with the citizens of Ascension Parish as well. So I want to thank you for allowing me to come here. It is, like I said, it's a great honor for me, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And if you don't have my cell phone number, I'm happy to give it to you so you can call me. My kids and my friends say that I don't ever put my phone down, so you ought to be able to reach me about 24 hours a day. So again, and I'll be happy to answer any questions while I'm here if y'all have any for me.
Looks like we'll save that for
another
later.
day. Or you can call me on my office number. Anyway, again, I'm really looking forward to this job, and I think it's going to be very interesting, and I think it's going to be very successful as well. So thank you again.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, the consent agenda.
Adoption of September 7, 2017 regular council meeting minutes. Adoption of September 21st, 2017 regular council meeting minutes. RFQ Professional Engineering Design and Related Services, LA Highway 3127 Extension, Engineering Design Services Project Number ENG 17013. Resolution 2017 through 2019 Priority for Off-System Bridge Replacement Certification Program Renewal. Request for proposals, environmental professional services for testing and inspection of Highway 42 sewer system. Change order number 1 in the amount of $6,000, H. Davis Cole, LA 4273 area sewage modifications, construction of a sewage force main extension. Renewal of professional services agreement between Moore Sound Imaging and Parish to provide medical services and care to the inmates of the Ascension Parish Jail. Cooperative endeavor agreement between Ascension Veterans Memorial Park Committee and the Parish for a one-time payment of $3,000 for the improvements to Veterans Memorial Park. Renewal of master contract for professional services between BFM Corporation LLC and the Parish of Ascension to help facilitate and expedite projects within the parish. Total amount of project not to exceed $150,000. Renewal of master contract for professional services between Quality Engineering and Surveying and the parish to help facilitate and expedite project within the parish. Total amount of project not to exceed $150,000. Renewal of master contract for professional services between Earls and Associates, Inc. and the Parish of Ascension to help facilitate and expedite projects within the parish. Total amount of project not to exceed $150,000. Renewal of master contract for professional services between Bryant Hammett and Associates and the Parish of Ascension to help facilitate and expedite project within the parish. Total amount of project not to exceed $150,000. Renewal of master contract for professional services between T. Baker Smith and the Parish of Ascension to help facilitate and expedite project within the parish. Total amount of project not to exceed $150,000. Amendment to the original contract with River Parish's security systems for monitoring to include the Department of Public Works per fee schedule, $30 per month, $90 per quarter. Amendment to original contract with River Parish's security system for fire inspection to include the Department of Public Works for an annual fee of $290. Amendment to original contract with River Parish's security systems for monitoring to include the Ascension Parish Clerk of Court Armory per fee schedule at $114 per quarter. Approval of substantial completion Lamar Dixon Gym. Proposed ordinance to amend the ULDC Section 172060.c, finality of contract agreements.
Motion to approve.
Do we have any desire first to remove anything from the consent? Do we have a motion by Councilwoman Casso, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Motion is adopted. Item number 8, general business, approval of funding for Kara's House for the year 2018 in the amount of $150,000 to be taken from the general fund. So I have some commenters on this. What we have 4 speakers. We have 38 cards that were in favor who chose not to speak. Thank you. At first, Alicia Terry. She went to the bathroom. We'll put her on the back. Genevieve Robichaud.
Good evening. My name is Genevieve Robichaud, and I live on Bro Street in Sorrento. For the last month, we've been told to be positive and polite. But I've been to 2 meetings thus far, and I don't believe we're making any progress. You don't see this as your problem, and you want facts. You want numbers upon numbers, and that's fine. We can go over some numbers. Animal control has a budget of a little over $300,000 with 3.5 full-time employees who receive benefits. Do you think the parish can run a shelter on 3.5 employees? They can't. You would need to hire a staff of a bare minimum of 6 people to care for the animals and handle intake paperwork. Your payroll expenses alone will be more than the additional $150,000 that Kara's House is requesting. If Kara's House is forced to give up their contract due to lack of funding, now what? The parish must resort back to running the shelter. You are already over budget on the additional employees needed to run a shelter, and you turn back to euthanasia to cut costs. Before you can do that, you have a 5-day stray hold that you need to deal with. So your paid employees are going to need to care for the animals during that time. That costs money too. Assuming you don't want to waste funds caring for the animals at the end of the 5 days, euthanasia isn't free. It costs roughly $50 to euthanize an animal and dispose of it properly. Even if you were to put down 50% of the animals that we've received thus far in 2017, you're looking at over $90,000. But since the parish was running previously around 75% euthanasia rate, you're adding on even more money. And these numbers don't include the cost of bedding and feeding the animals. It is impossible for the parish to run the animal shelter as cost effectively as Kara's House currently is and put up the incredible numbers that they are currently. You say you can't find where the $150,000 is needed. If you add up how much it will cost the parish to run the shelter without Kara's House, you'll find that the parish cannot provide payroll for a shelter below the proposed increased budget for Kara's House. Thank you.
Thank you. Jill Wiley.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here. My name is Jill Wiley, and I've lived in Ascension Parish most of my life, most of my almost 42 years. And I've seen the animal population here is growing at ludicrous speed, and we can't keep up with the growing subdivisions, the growing businesses. We just can't keep up. These people are bringing in their animals, and they're not all responsible, and we get them, and it's just not fair. It's not fair that some of the councilmen are acting like this is money coming out of their wallets. This is not your bank account. This is the people's money. And the people should come out. And I can't believe not many more came. Of all the people I've seen that support this, I haven't seen one person who does not support it, and I wish we could vote on it. And that's about all I have to say on the matter. Please, 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 open your hearts, open your eyes, open your ears. We're growing, and our animal population's killing us. It's just regressing. So please, please, please reconsider if you're thinking about changing your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Milano.
Good evening, council members. My name is Leslie Milano, and I'm a resident of Ascension Parish and have been for the majority of my 51 years. First, I'd like to thank each of you for your service and commitment to the residents of Ascension Parish. I stand before you this evening in support of the additional $150,000 budget increase for Kara's House. Without getting into the details that you've previously been provided, I want to reiterate that the operating costs for Kara's House are subject to multiple factors, many of which have been named numerous times, but it includes the growth in population and Mother Nature, quite frankly. When the Cooperative Endeavor Agreement was negotiated in 2014, no one realized that today Kara's House would be faced with the dramatic uptick in the number of intakes. So let's fast forward to 2017. Kara officials have presented you all with anticipated level of expenditures based on historical data. As good stewards of public funds, they've come before you and identified a budget crisis. They have done their due diligence as part of the budget process in requesting additional funding in order to enable them to fulfill a mission you all charged them to carry out. The $150,000 budget increase primarily represents a workload adjustment, which is by definition a budget adjustment necessary to maintain current levels of service and is triggered by circumstances beyond their control. I understand that resources are scarce and tough decisions must be made. But let's not forget the 70-plus volunteers that Kara brings to the table. When you factor that in, I'd say that taxpayers are getting quite a deal, if not a steal. In closing, I implore you all to exhaust all efforts in redirecting existing funds to fill the budget need. I'm sure there's an activity somewhere in the public budget that may fall short in meeting its annual goals and objectives. Or perhaps you could utilize year-end reversions or tap into eligible undesignated fund balances. What I do know is that we have at our fingertips, members, a prime opportunity to become a leader and an innovator in public animal welfare. A chance to lead by example for all of the parishes to see what can be accomplished when parish officials and community members collaborate together. So together, let's seize this opportunity. With that, I respectfully request your favorable vote on this item. Thank you.
Alicia Perry.
Hi, my name's Alicia Terry. I'm born and raised in Prairieville, mostly down Miller Road, off of 73, which is where I live now. I spoke at the strategic planning meeting, and I would have spoken at the financial meeting last week, except y'all said yes, recommended it, and asked, if we could forego speaking. I was cool with that. I am hopeful, however, that you'll uphold the recommendation from the financial meeting. As I said at the strategic planning meeting, I've been volunteering for almost 2 years. I spend most of my weekends doing adoption events, whatever I can to help with the animal shelter. We know that Kara's House is doing a fantastic job with the shelter. All the experts that have looked at us, talked to us, came and visited us, have said so. I don't know if any of y'all have actually been to the shelter anytime recently. I would hope that y'all would have visited and taken a look and seen what we're doing, what we've been doing. But you can see it there, you can see it in our numbers, that we are doing an amazing job, especially the actual employees and the people who are there every day, which I wish I could be. Unfortunately, I can't. I would like to simply talk about some of the things that we would like to do, potentially, with the $150,000 that we are hoping that you will add to our budget. We would love to do a trap, neuter, release program. I can't remember if they mentioned the numbers in the last meeting. I do know that one unspayed female cat, over the course of 7 years, her and her offspring can produce 420,000 cats. It's a lot of cats. I see the face you're making. It is a lot of cats. There are a lot of cats down Miller Road. Some of them I have managed to capture and spay. I usually try to get the females. Unfortunately, there are some up and down that I have no control over who don't come near my place, so I can't help with that. Dogs, thankfully, don't seem to be as prolific, but one unspayed female dog can produce 67,000 puppies, and that's in 6 years. It's a lot of animals, and I know near Silverstone, where my parents' old house is, there were just dogs running around loose. No collars, nothing. I don't know if they were owned by anybody. They usually didn't come near humans, so I assume they were wild dogs, and I can only imagine that they're just reproducing at an astronomical rate. We would love a trap, neuter, release program. That would mostly be for cats, of course, but dogs need to be pulled in. We need the money to get them fixed, to have them vetted, everything like that. They've mentioned having a veterinarian on staff, which would be amazing. Could save us so much money. And as much as we would love to introduce an actual specific tax for our shelter, I think in the short term, at least, a budget increase would be our best bet. And I would hope y'all would agree with that and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
Okay. That's the last speaker for tonight on that item. So we're back to item number 8, Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, great speaking. Thank you all very much. I'll keep this brief. I'm going to make a motion that we finance this at $150,000 per year. But I'm going to make a strong request to Kara that y'all come to us within the next 45 days to come up with a long-term plan for funding. We'll work with y'all. Come to us. Let's come up with a plan that we can fund this for the long term. That's going to include the animal shelter. That's going to include animal control. And we'll work together on this. But I'm very serious that if we can't get a plan, within in the next 45 days, we can always revisit this. It's not a threat, but we got to look to long term here. But that's my motion. Thank you very much.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Lawler, a second by Councilman Satterley to adopt the recommendation of the Finance Committee. Mr. Kluot.
Yeah, just a quick discussion. I agree with Aaron. And after reviewing finances, we understand the position you're in and the demand that was put upon you. And once again, we talked to several of you before the meeting, but we need to get something solid going in the future. And I admire your compassion. And we just need to get something squared up in the future. Thank you.
No. Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, and I see their need, and I looked at their finances, and, I just want to remind this council up here, we have a lot of other volunteer groups out there that do a lot for the parish. Volunteer Ascension, we give them, $25,000 to $50,000 a year. Jamala Association that cooks for a lot of people that's in need throughout this country, not just our parish. We give them $50,000 a year. So if we have a big enough budget, be prepared, because they may come forth too. And we got a big enough budget just to dish out money like this, 150,000. Be ready, because we're gonna have other groups coming to us. I really believe we need to cut this back in half, you know, and I'll make a substitute motion that we go to 75,000.
We have an amendment to go to 75.
We've never went 75% increase, any private entities 75% increase, and this is what we're doing right here, a 75% increase, and that's unheard of. And we haven't done it in any of the other non-profitable groups that came to us. And I worked with Volunteer Ascension at Lamar-Dixon when they were taking supplies to send to the needy people in our neighboring states, and a heck of a group of people. Volunteers, all volunteers. And same thing with the Jambalaya Association. They bring pots and pots of, you know, food to these people. And throughout any charity operation that we have here in the parish, they do it. And we don't give them near the amount of money that we're giving these guys. And yeah, I know there's a need, but there's a need for money in all these charity groups. So that's where my motion is.
So we have a motion to reduce the 150 to 75.
Be ready for when the next come.
Motion dies for lack of a second. We're back to the main motion. Mr. Kluat.
Real quick, I just want to, you know, a decent amount of us was here when we first talked to you guys and made the deal, and we grabbed, that was a division of work that we did. Not all the services that y'all are providing now, but that particular portion was a division of work that we did. And we took and pulled a division out of animal control, what we thought it would take to go and capture and work with the public, that out, and took the rest of that budget that we had working with and gave it forward to you guys. And while I don't disagree with Councilman Lambert, it is a division of work that we had that even if we still had it, it would have grown and it would have needed more funds. I can't throw the numbers out there, you know, can't foresee that, but the fact is that y'all have expanded the services, but it is a division of stuff, of work that we were performing as a parish.
Councilman Satterley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I obviously don't object in any way whatsoever about the motion that's on the table. I would just like to say thank you. I think I did it last time. Maybe I can even do it more dramatic. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do. The four ladies who spoke tonight, wonderful. The dozens who spoke in front of Strategic Planning Committee, wonderful. Sorry you didn't get to do it a third time, tic-tac-toe at finance, but that was a snafu. I think our chair lady did offer the opportunity, but somehow you guys missed it, didn't avail yourself to that. But won't go as far as to thank people for not speaking like our chairman did moments ago, although we do have a very heavy, lengthy agenda here tonight. But God bless you folks for what you do. I have no problem whatsoever in what you're asking for. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Is there any opposition? We have opposition. Madam Secretary, please open the voting machines. You guys get the witness. Now we have Councilman Johnson is in attendance. Madam Secretary.
You can go ahead and repeat the motion to him. If you
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So here's where we are. The item number 8, approval of funding for Karis House for the year 2018 in the amount of $150,000 to be taken from the general fund. The motion on the floor is to adopt that recommendation. So the voting machines are now open. Please cast your ballots.
Quit playing around before this is messed up.
Okay, the voting machines will be closed. Please cast your final ballots. Please close the voting machines. Okay, motion is adopted, 8-2. Okay, item number 9, appointment of chief. That's okay. Item number 9, appointment of chief building official. And I have myself here and Ms. Wesley. So if you'd like to, you have, who we have, this is to appoint Mr. Hebert.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
And a motion by Todd Lambert. Second, we had a second by Councilman Kluat to make this appointment. Anybody have any questions, any discussion for Ms. Wesley or Mr. Dawson?
Mr. Fournier is here.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that Mr. Hebert has been doing a wonderful job in that as acting chief building official. He has taken on the task aggressively and also looked at other methods and means to improve that particular department. So the President and I definitely would stand by that recommendation for appointment, and we thank you for your consideration.
Further discussion. Mr. Kluat.
I'd like to ask Mike to step to the microphone. If you will.
Sure. Mr. Hebert.
Welcome to the jungle. You've been.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all, I appreciate, I know some of y'all, I don't know all of y'all, I haven't had the pleasure to meet all of y'all, but I really do appreciate the administration's backing and any backing that y'all give me to try to help the citizens of Ascension Parish, serve the citizens of Ascension Parish as well as the council and moving forward with a lot of technological advances that I'm looking forward to implementing and a lot of new ideas. So.
Okay, for any further discussion, any opposition? Motion's adopted. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you all very much.
Item number 10 is a resolution for ratification of the President's appointment of Human Resources Director, Ms. Talita Wesley.
Motion.
Second. Got a fight for the motion here. Councilman Kluat. We'll give Councilman Lawler second. So if maybe, Ms. Wesley, would you like to come up? We had a copy of her resume in the Novus. So if you guys, I'm sure everyone looked at it, quite impressive resume, and congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. What I'm really excited about is how welcoming both the council members have been and administration as well, and how well the information that I'm providing to you is being received. You know, I look forward to continuing to do informationals and trainings and really expanding the knowledge about my specific field through both the educational and training factors and also the implementation of the policies.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for Ms. Wesley? Mr. Sadley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Talita, welcome aboard. We've met before at the meet and greet, and I asked you a question back then, so now in public I'm going to ask it to you again. And the question was this, and I want the public to understand that you hold this resume. I think is an understatement to say that it's impressive. You hold college degrees from both Grambling State University and Southern University. At the former University of BA as well as a BPA, and at the latter a Master's, an MPA, and a Juris Doctor, which is, those not in the know, she's an attorney. So what side of the field do you sit on, ma'am, during the Grambling Southern?
I can answer that
one. What colors do you wear in the Bayou Classic?
Well, I am black and gold all. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, let the record show that Ms. Wesley says black and gold.
And I just want to
have a digital appointment now.
And I just want to give one thing. I am trained as an attorney, but I am not a licensed attorney.
You're lucky.
Now I know you're hired.
Mr. Dawson.
I'd just like to say, since Ms. Wesley has chosen Grambling, we will be withdrawing. No. Let me just say that it's been a pleasure over the past few weeks working with Talita. It's a wonderful job, and one thing that all of you asked for, and you will be getting at probably the next Finance Committee meeting, and that is the status of all of the things that she's been doing, and you will be able to track it. So there are a lot of things that she's accomplished thus far, and I think that when you see it at the next Finance Committee meeting, you will be real pleased. So thank you.
Any objections? Congratulations. Okay, item number 11, approval of intergovernmental agreement between Ascension Parish Government, Ascension Parish Fire Protection District Number 2 for the parish to acquire a 1993 Stephan TS 100 fire truck vehicle number for use by Fire District Number 2. Mr. Parrington.
Yes, the fire district is acquiring a used fire truck from another governmental entity, so we don't have to go out for bid. We can do it through a governmental entity.
A motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion's adopted. Item number 12, resolution to accept the results of the H&H study and to urge the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to proceed with the remainder of the permitting process for dredging of certain portions of Bayou Napoleon and Bayou Barrette.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Kluart. Any discussion? Any opposition?
I just
Mr.
want to let
Kluart.
everybody know, Mr. Joseph, let us know where we're talking about.
Based in the city of Downsville in the West Bank, Bayou Napoleon is one of the major drainage on the south end of it, and St. James right now have some resistance in the water and causing some serious problems with our some of the city residential and most of our commercial property. And asking the Corps to give us a permit for this will relieve us with that water issue we're having over there. And this resolution will be given to all parish, Assumption, St. James, St. John, and Lafourche.
Further discussion? Opposition? Hearing none. Motion's adopted. Item number 13, approval of location agreement between Ascension Parish Government and Works Entertainment Group, LLC, for use of the Ascension Parish Courthouse in Dawsonville and other various locations in the parish for filming of the movie Rightful.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Lawler, second by Councilman Kluart, and again, Mr. Joseph. You have any comments on this?
Looking forward for some of the entertainment and some of the revenues.
Okay.
I'm getting in the picture?
You good?
He'll suit that.
You'll be an extra?
No, he would be wrongful.
Any objection? Further discussion? Any objection? Motion's adopted. Item number 14, substantial completion Galvez Library renovations. Mr. Chauvin, the architect. Got a motion by Councilman Satterley.
Second.
Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. We have Mr. Chauvin.
Mr. Chairman, correction of the record, the motion was by Mr. Lambert.
Oh, it was? Okay. Councilman
He just sounds like
Dempsey.
me.
Councilman Dempsey.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you very much. We're just coming before you to request substantial completion for the Galvez Library. And they finished like about a month and a half early. As far as we're concerned, they've done a terrific job. I think Ms. Angel is happy.
Yes, they've
And,
done a great job, been very responsive to any of our requests, and it helps that they have excellent plans to work from, but they've been very conscientious in everything they've done.
Awesome.
Thank you. Mr. Lawler.
A brief statement. I've spoken with some of the neighbors behind the library and Universal with the lights, some issues there. If y'all would look into that, they're extremely bright. I think they may have already
Yes, sir.
contacted you.
We've heard
Right.
from one of the neighbors, and we are currently working on that.
Great.
to try to
Yeah, I've
resolve
talked to a bunch of them back there, but I think one is taking the lead. And thank y'all for looking into that.
thing. We're trying to figure out a way to make it a lot more palatable.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion. Mr. Lambert. Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Thank you, Ms. Angela and Henry. Thank you for coming back to help us with this. From the beginning, we had drainage issues and quite a few other things going on, but I think we've cleared all that up. So really, I really want to thank you for coming back and helping. And thank everyone for helping push this expansion through. We needed it in Galvez. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank y'all because I've been working for you for 38 years.
38.
And you people helped me raise my family.
Yeah.
Thank you. Further discussion, Mr. Cluett.
Just real quick, thank you, Henry and Angel, for finishing Galvez, and we look forward to starting Santa Monica.
Okay. Yes,
And we've
sir.
had our discussions this week, our meeting this week on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, everybody.
Further discussion, any opposition? Motion's adopted. Item number 15, review and approval of Ascension Parish employee GPS policy. Ms. Wesley.
Okay, the GPS policy that you have in front of you is a result of research over the local, state, and states services outside of Louisiana as well, and this is a culmination of it. And the true factor of it is to measure the performance of our systems and also the safety criterias that we set forth for our employees, and we'd like you to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Benny Johnson. Discussion, Mr. Cluett.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Toledo, I mean, at this time, on the GPS policy, I don't necessarily agree with everything on it. I know we've been talking about it for a good while, and I appreciate all the efforts going forward. Before we pass this, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we defer this back to the Transportation Committee to take one last look at it.
So I have a motion by Mr. Cluett to refer that to Transportation.
I'll second that, Mr.
That was so, a second by Mr. Satterley. Discussion. Opposition. Hearing none, that motion's adopted. Referred back to Transportation. Item number 16 was removed. Item number 17, zoning review ID PZ 1397.17-Z, Track 2 for PAX, Inc., located on the north side of Babin Road, approximately 1,500 feet west of Airline Highway, to request amendment to the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to light industrial. Planning staff recommends approval of this rezone.
Motion.
Second. Mr.
Motion by Councilman Cluett, second by Councilman
Discussion.
Todd Lambert. Second, is that correct? And
discussion.
discussion, Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, we met with both parties on this, had a few people in opposition, and met with the owner of and came to a resolution. Everybody was in agreement with it, so it was a win-win for both of them. Mr. Buddy's going to work with the residents in that area, and everybody was happy with it. So I don't think there's anybody here today in opposition on it. So
I'd like
appreciate
to-
Buddy meeting with us and working it out.
I'd like to thank Councilman Lambert and Mr. Fournier and his staff for their
Right.
work on this. Further discussion? Opposition? Motion is adopted. Item number 18, and we have, this is introduction of ordinance to amend Ascension Parish zoning map from conservation to medium intensity, medium industrial and light industrial. And we have 4 speakers on this. Two
to
or
speak
do
and
not
two
wish to
not.
speak? Do not wish, yeah, 2 speakers tonight. First, Danita Overa. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. My name is Danita Overa, and I live at West Robert Wilson Road in Gonzales. I've been a resident here for at least 18 years. This rezoning is really getting to all of us because we met with Mr. Melanson on August the 30th to discuss what was his intentions on this property. Now we're hearing other things. We are very much opposed to this unless we can get a rezoning, a SPUD, indicating what Mr. Melanson spoke to us about on August 30th. I'm okay with the conservation that he has plans on the front end of the property and towards the back of West Robert Wilson Road, North Robert Wilson Road in the frontage road and on West Robert Wilson Road. Other than that, he agreed with us in regards to pushing some of the property back from the medium industrial to the light industrial, and we're okay with that. That I'm okay. But we're just concerned what is the intentions and what is going to be approved by y'all, because with us, we're homeowners, and we're not a whole big, huge, neighborhood. We're 19 people, and we worked hard to get what we've got. And the thing is, we don't want our property to lose value because of the rezoning. If you push this, according to what Mr. Melanson is saying that he's going to do, and I hate to say it this way, but we've got to have trust in him, and we've got to have faith that he's going to do what he says he's going to do in this rezoning. If he keeps the conservation in the front, we're agreeing. But other than that, we need to have more indication from him if he's going to keep his word with us. And that's mainly my concern, is what's going to do with the rezoning, if he's going to keep it the way he indicated. Because I was looking at the map, and he's changed it to the conservation in the front, and then he did the light rezoning behind that, and then the medium industrial behind that. So I'm okay with that. But if he changes his ways, his plan, when we come to meet with y'all in a couple of more weeks, then things are going to be different. But having a spud would back us up and give us some security. The neighbors are very concerned. A lot of them couldn't be here today, but they are very concerned about this rezoning because of the property, because of our homes. And the rezoning, and this was knocked down a few years ago because of the merger. And we're very concerned about it because there's the power lines that run directly on this property, and there's a road there. And he swore to us that he would not put an entrance or exit road onto that property. And we've already got enough problems on West Robert Wilson Road. I'm sure y'all are aware of it. The traffic is horrendous. I mean, you can't get out of your street at 4 o'clock in the evening. Forget it. You're not doing it. So we're very concerned with that also being the rezoning, if he's going to put a road anywhere near West Robert Wilson or North Robert Wilson. So I thank y'all for your time and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And have Kelly Anderson.
Good evening, and thank you for clarity. I'm sure you've seen this map. She's referring to the area of conservation. It's right here. It's not actually part of this rezoning application. Here's where our houses are. Can y'all see what I'm doing?
No, ma'am, we can't.
Shucks. I thought this over
Somebody's
really
got to
well.
help you with that.
John behind
Yeah, hit
that.
that button on the
I
top.
think they got a power button on there.
Looks like it.
the light's on.
Is it on? Okay.
Can I have my 30 seconds back?
You're up, look, dear.
You have it up now.
Okay. Our houses, a buffer of conservation, which has been a farm. We live across the street from a farm. This is what our neighborhood looks like right now. This is what he wants our neighborhood to look like. Okay, that's a big jump. That's a huge jump. We never liked this idea. We fell for the line that if we don't compromise, something's going to be put there. So we had a meeting with the owner, and we appreciate some adjustments that were made, but we're not comfortable with what's happening because of health, safety, traffic, flooding. Half of this property is in the 100-year floodplain. We have a lot of problems with it. The argument from the beginning was he just was trying to zone it like the rest of us because we're light industrial. That was changed in 2016 without us knowing about it. I mentioned that the last time. Due to conversations with some of you, thank you, Terry Casso, we got this item pulled off the agenda a month ago. And we had a meeting with him. And he promised us some things he would do that made us feel better. Having 100 feet of buffer, planted, landscaped trees. He said he would do that. He promised he wouldn't access our road. He promised he wouldn't build certain things in the conservation. And our naivety felt like we could trust him. We made a mistake there. We realize now, after the legal counsel's comment at the end of the last meeting, that he's not bound to any of that, and we have no trust or comfort. None of it is enforceable. And so, we've already had a curious error happen already at this part of the game. The wrong map was submitted to y'all for the last meeting without us knowing about it. Despite us having a meeting, them supplying us maps, going through all kind of rigmarole, yet y'all still got the wrong map that wasn't changed the way it was supposed to be. didn't help our trust anymore. Our proposal at this point is to take a step back, pull this back. If the landowner is willing to do a spud with the handful of simple things that he agreed and promised he would do for this conservation area, we can talk about being okay with what he's doing here. But right now, we're not okay with it. And thank you all for listening, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the public comment that we had. Remember, this is the introduction of the ordinance. We'll have, public hearing at the next meeting.
Motion to introduce.
And a motion to introduce.
Why don't I make a motion? Well, wait to see if we get a second or not.
And a motion to introduce. A second by Councilman Johnson.
I can make a substitute motion to defer the introduction of this ordinance.
I'll second that.
Had a motion by Councilman Travis Turner, second by Councilman Lawler. Okay, do we have a discussion on this? Is to defer to what, the next meeting? Tell me what you.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I'd like to defer to the next meeting that's in Gonzales, so it can make it easier for those residents to attend.
So a month from now?
Yes.
The meeting that'll be November 30th, is that correct, Madam Secretary?
Yes.
Meeting of November 30th. So we have a motion and a second to defer to November 30th.
I got a discussion. Maybe a clarification from Mr. Jerome, if I could.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Councilman Lambert.
Just a quick one. I know it's an introduction. We ain't supposed.
Yeah.
Mr. Jerome, could a SPUD work in this application?
Well, the SPUD can only work in a residential portion of that property.
Okay.
All right. There's no applicable SPUD that's available to us through the ordinance for an industrial use.
Okay. That's why I want you to bring it up.
Right.
That's all I had.
So let me, I'm sorry, Mr. Lawler.
But would it just require us altering the ordinance to allow SPUDs to be used in industrial areas?
We could create a category called industrial SPUDs. I mean, that would go through the ordinance revision process or addition process. It could. Yeah. I mean, we could look at that. Yeah.
I guess this is a point of clarification, Aaron. They don't want it in the industrial area, just in the conservative area.
They want the SPUD in the conservation area.
Conservation, I'm sorry, conservation area, not the entire area.
Right.
Which could be done.
Would that work?
Yes,
Yeah.
it could. So just to show you the map, John, if I could get this up there. The area that,
We don't see.
this is kind of an overall view of you.
Go.
Went the wrong way.
You turned it the wrong way.
It's not,
it's
it's not
focused.
focused, buddy.
Whoa.
Just lean back, you can see it.
I totally messed things up.
It was actually good.
Wait, you got it.
Ain't got a hair trigger or what? man?
All right, just about got it. This area right here is conservation, and what's proposed right now is a conservation strip that runs right along Robert Wilson Road, going in a northerly direction, and then going across Robert Wilson Road in an easterly direction, right? So this conservation strip, if we would like to go that route, could be a SPUD, and we could create a SPUD for that conservation strip. That's correct. But the rest of the property, which is looking at light industrial here and a medium intensity residential or industrial here, would not be subject to the SPUD. So it would only be the conservation strip.
But that would be a solution, I think, to the problem, to ensure that the plantings and everything that they've agreed to is done.
Yes, correct. It could be, yes. Now, the SPUD category is applicable when they come in for a development plan. Right now, we're only rezoning the property, and we cannot put any conditions on a rezone based on the ordinance. When they come in for a development plan, we can then put conditions on the project. A buffer strip with trees, a fencing, that type thing could be applicable at the time that the development plan comes forward.
Mr. Kluat.
Jerome, right now, based on the way the plot is drawn, that we're holding the conservation there?
That is being maintained as
That's
conservation,
what I'm
that
saying.
strip, that 300-foot strip.
So he won't be able to do the industrial or the medium industrial, anything there, right?
No, not at all.
And whatever he does with it, he's got to come back in with a plat.
That's correct. That's correct.
So that buffer is being insured even through this action if we did it today.
It is, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lambert.
Thank you. Now I'm hearing two things here. Connectivity. In the beginning, there was supposed to be no connectivity, or what's going on with this? Why am we hearing that from the resident?
Connectivity in terms of.
Wait, I heard something about a road being, they were worried about connecting a road in.
Yeah, there was, at one point, there was an idea that Robert Wilson Road would be used to connect into the industrial area. That's no longer the case because we're leaving it as a conservation buffer. Right. Right.
So the next step with the developer's agreement, I mean, you should be able to get stuff, nailed down there, right?
Yes, we should be able to, yeah. Just connectivity aspect, the site plan that we've seen so far, and it's unofficial, is that the access to the industrial port will be going through industrial plex.
Right.
Avenue or road or whatever it is. Which
So
connects
that
from
would come
30.
off of Highway 30 or?
Yeah, it connects to
Okay.
Highway 30, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so currently we have a motion and a second to defer this to the second meeting in November.
One question just to make sure. So, Mr. Jerome, what you're saying is until this goes through, he's not coming forward with anything that would even remotely, or to where we couldn't do a spud, correct?
No. He's not, all we're doing is rezoning that portion of the property that's light industrial and medium industrial on your map.
Right.
So the rest of the property that's in that little strip that we're calling conservation, it's already conservation. We're
Yes.
not changing that.
Right.
Yeah. That's remaining the same.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Cluett.
Yeah, I just once more want to make it clear that it's segregated right now as conservation, and we're not rezoning that. Just like what Jerome said and Benny had asked about, that we're rezoning the other portion. So there's nothing we can hold the landowner to right now anyway.
Councilman Turner. Oh, you didn't raise your hand?
I already said what I had to say.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to defer to the second meeting in November. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion is adopted. Item number 19, introduction of ordinance to adopt the 2017 amended budget and the 2018 budget for the Parish of Ascension. This was in your packet. Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion, opposition. Ordinance is introduced. Public hearings. Item number 20, reading of the ordinance to amend the ordinance adopted September 7th, 2017 to authorize the purchase of property for Fire District 1 from Amy Gotro. Mr. Parrington.
To amend an ordinance adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on September 7, 2017 to require a parcel removed property for the Ascension Parish government for the price of $200,000 for the purpose of fire protection. This ordinance serves to insert the proper description of the property that was subject to the original transaction, whereas the Parish of Ascension through the Ascension Parish Council under lawful session passed an ordinance on the 7th day of September 2017 authoring the purchase of parcel removed property for the purpose of fire protection. Whereas the property description was incorrect and it is now the intended Ascension Parish Council as the governing authority in and for the Parish of Ascension to correct the error. Be it ordained the Ascension Parish governing authority authorizes the purchase of property situated in the Parish of Ascension as more fully described in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part hereof. This ordinance is being adopted in conformity with Section 601 of the Ascension Parish Charter. The purchase of property is subject to approval of the parish attorney and contingent upon the seller being able to deliver merchantable title. Kenny Matassa, Parish President, is authorized to sign any and all documents necessary on behalf of the parish. The ordinance submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion, open the public hearing.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Todd Lambert,
Motion
second
to
by
close.
Councilman Cluett. Got a motion to close the public hearing by Councilman Joseph, second by Mr. Cluett.
Motion.
Any opposition? Public hearing is closed. The ordinance.
Motion.
Got a motion by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Discussion. Opposition. Ordinance is adopted. Executive session, Raiders Installation Express, doing business as Raiders Installation via Ascension Parish, Reed Contractors, Grace Abear Architects, APAC, ABC Insurance, XYZ Insurance. Motion to go into executive session. We have a motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilwoman Castle. Open the voting machines. Madam Secretary, please. Okay. Please cast your ballots. Machines will be closed. Motion's adopted. Be in executive session.
Motion to reconvene, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Benny Johnson to go back into regular session. The opposition? Okay, executive session.
Make a motion that we authorize our legal counsel to enter into settlement, we give him settlement authority and enter into negotiations.
Second by Councilman Kluwat. Motion by Mr. Lawler. Any discussion, any opposition? Motion adopted.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion by Councilman Satterlee, second by Councilman Kluwat. Any opposition? Thank you.